Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video here. Man, what has transpired in the NFL playoffs over the past 2 weeks with top paid quarterbacks like Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, and Baker Mayfield, practically costing their teams playoff wins with how their performance was. And I'm not, Baker Mayfield could be the odd one out here. I don't think Baker Mayfield played that bad in his playoff game. I'd have to kind of go back and look at the stats. However, without a doubt, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, and Jordan Love. So Jordan Love, Goff, and Herbert, those three guys played horrible in the playoffs. Obviously, Jared Goff most recently costed their teams wins, turned the ball over, and now they're out of the playoffs. What has transpired and what I've seen over the past week leads me to believe that Brock Purdy's annual salary has only gone up. How could it have not, right? Like you look at Jordan Love, $220 million contract, $55 million a year. Jared Goff, $212 million contract, $53 million a year. And Justin Herbert, $262.5 million contract, $52.5 million per year. All three of those guys did not perform in the playoffs. In fact, they costed their teams wins in the playoffs. They were the main reason why their teams didn't win in the playoffs. How has Brock Purdy's price tag not gone up with how these quarterbacks have played? It's a very intriguing, topic, right? Because you look at Brock Purdy, and I think it's pretty safe to say that at the least, Brock Purdy's going to be paid $50+ million a year. Whether you guys think he's worth that or not, it doesn't matter. It's what the market is. Brock Purdy's agent is looking at all of these quarterbacks collapse in the playoffs that are being paid $53+ million per year. And he's licking his chops knowing that Brock Purdy's never played very bad in the playoffs. Brock Purdy's always showed up. He's always, elevated his team in the playoffs. He's always played good. I mean, the only game they've lost in the playoffs besides, the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy was the 2022 NFC Championship game when Purdy tore his UCL when he got injured against the Eagles. So, knowing that, and knowing that when Brock Purdy came back, all he did was elevate this team and played elite football in the playoffs. How do you look at that and think Brock Purdy's still probably like a $50 million quarterback? His agent is going to get the most money he possibly can out of the 49ers. I think Brock Purdy knows what his value is. I think Brock Purdy's got a number in mind that he wants. But again, Brock Purdy's got an agent. His agent, his job is to get Purdy the absolute most money he possibly can out of a contract. And why wouldn't Brock Purdy's agent during negotiations bring up all these top paid quarterbacks and how they collapsed and failed their team in the playoffs to help Brock Purdy's stock and his annual salary increase? I don't know, man. I'm telling you right now, though, I definitely think Brock Purdy will definitely be like a $53.5 to $54 million quarterback per year. He could be a $55 million quarterback per year. Now, in my opinion, I think Brock Purdy's worth about $50 million a year. I think it's the market. I think Brock Purdy's done enough to earn that money, to earn that type of salary. Whether you guys think he's a $50 million quarterback or not, the market's the market. He's taken this team to Super Bowls. He's only produced in the playoffs. He's never really failed this team in the playoffs. Has he made mistakes and whatnot in the playoffs? Yeah, absolutely. But there is absolutely way more good that has came from Brock Purdy in the postseason than there is bad. And you got to look at that. You got to, number one, as a fan, appreciate that. And you know what? I mean, Brock Purdy he probably saved John Lynch and Kyle's job. I mean, if they don't draft Brock Purdy, knowing how the Trey Lance situation transpired, where the hell are the 49ers at currently? Who is their quarterback? Like, he saved Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch from getting fired. They traded 3 first-round picks to the Miami Dolphins to draft Trey Lance. Trey Lance was a quarterback that was not ready. It was literally like a boomer bust type of pick, and it clearly bust. It was clearly a bust type of pick. But then they grabbed Brock Purdy and with the last pick in the NFL draft, and now, fast forward 2-3 years later, we're talking about Brock Purdy making $55+ million per year. It's absolutely asinine how the NFL works. It's crazy how things work out in the NFL. But again, the reality is the reality, and again, the reality is that Brock Purdy has done nothing but produce in the playoffs. He's taken this team to a Super Bowl. Like, he has doubled, probably tripled Dak Prescott's playoff wins, and Dak Prescott has a total value of $240 million on his current contract, and Dak Prescott's making $60 million a year. Now, he is a Cowboy. That organization is a dumpster fire. Jerry Jones is an idiot, in a nice way. So, like, why did they pay Brock or Dak Prescott $60 million a year? I don't know, to be mediocre, because that's all Dak Prescott's been for the last, for like the last 6-7 years. He gets into the playoffs. He's a regular season type of quarterback, plays really well in the regular season, gets into playoffs, and, he turns into Gardner Minshew. Sorry, Gardner, I don't mean to kind of throw you out, but he turns into a dud in the playoffs. And Brock Purdy's been in the league 2 to 3 years, going on to his 4th year in the league, I believe. Brock Purdy's tripled his playoff wins. He took this team to a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy has done nothing but produce in the playoffs. So again, Niner fans, whether you guys think he is worth $50+ million a year or not, you have to pay him that. You can't. I mean, what are you going to do? You're in a situation where your Super Bowl window is closing rapidly. You probably have another good 1 to 2 years to get to the Super Bowl, depending on how they draft over the next couple of years, depending on who they pick up, if the team can stay healthy. You have a good 1 to 2 years left to compete for a Lombardi trophy. You don't have time to go out and find a young prodigy Mahomes-esque type of quarterback. There's no reason to when you have a guy like Brock Purdy who's done nothing but produce. I don't know. Brock Purdy's my quarterback. Pay him whatever the hell he wants. He's not a finished product. He's only going to grow. Smart quarterback. Can make almost any throw. Has the ability to escape the pocket and extend plays and make, nothing out of something. Sorry, I said that backwards. Make something out of nothing. That's the type of quarterback Brock Purdy is. And you stack that with his playoff success, how he's elevated the team in the playoffs, how he hasn't failed his team like Love did, like Herbert did, like Jared Goff just did last night. This guy's going to get paid. He's going to get paid very handsomely. And if you're the 49ers, you have to do it. I want them to do it. I've been one of the biggest Brock Purdy supporters since he's kind of started for this team and in this league. It's just the reality's the reality, man. And it's like you can't I don't want to get in this situation again where we're looking for a franchise quarterback, where we're trying to draft this next big thing, and when there's a really good chance of it not working out. Also, the 49ers aren't in a situation to get one of these top quarterbacks in the draft. They're producing and they're winning a lot of football games with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's a franchise quarterback. He's a top 10 to 12 quarterback in this league. Again, I mean, you can't sit up here and say that Brock Purdy is not deserving of $53 to $55 million a year when that is the market, when that's what Love and Goff and Herbert, that's what these guys are getting paid, and they've failed their teams in the playoffs. Pay Brock Purdy the money he wants. He's not a finished product. He's only getting better. He's 24 years old. 49ers have their franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. So, I don't know, man. Has Purdy's price tag went up following some of these top-paid quarterbacks collapsing in the playoffs? I think it absolutely has. I don't know how it couldn't have. Brock Purdy might be getting paid $53 to $55 million per year. I don't really have a problem with it because you have to pay him what the market is. But I think a lot of Niner fans take Brock Purdy for granted. You know, a lot of people have given up on him. It wasn't a good year for anybody last year. We had injuries. You know, we played all the way into February last year. Like, of course, you know, Super Bowl hangovers are real. But the 49ers have, you know, an extra month to prepare for next year. They've got a lot of tough decisions to make. But the easiest decision should be to pay Brock Purdy the money that he deserves. But again, his price tag probably has went up, knowing what's transpired over the last couple weeks with some of these top-paid quarterbacks collapsing and failing their teams in the playoffs. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this, though, in the comments down below. Do you guys agree with me? I mean, has his price tag went up? I know some of you out there probably don't want to see Purdy get paid the money that he's probably going to be getting paid. But again, you know, the reality of the situation is that the 49ers have a top 10 to 12 quarterback that produces in the playoffs, that plays at a very high level in the playoffs and has never failed the team in the playoffs. So let me know your guys' thoughts, though, in the comments down below. Like I said, I mean, shout out to Washington for beating the Lions. A lot of Lions fans had a lot of bullshit to say after they beat the Niners, after they beat an injury-filled Niners team. And Amon-Ra St. Brown got belt to his ass yesterday. Pure bliss to see that. So, Lions collapse. Shout out to Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Jaden Daniels, and the Commanders. What a turnaround for that organization. Josh Harris, their new ownership. You know, Dan Snyder gets out of there, and boom, they're in the NFC Championship game. Crazy how quick one can turn you know, a bottom tier organization into, you know, one of the better organizations in the league. So the Commanders are rolling. I'm here for it. I love the underdog story, and Commanders went into Detroit yesterday, put belt to ass, and now they're on their way to the NFC Championship game. One win away from a Super Bowl berth. Absolutely crazy. This league is nuts. So, but yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on this in the comments down below. Hey, Brock Purdy. You have to.